Hello, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 165. My name is John, and I'm joined as always by Andrea. We're a podcast, and we talk about pop culture things that interest us. Sometimes there's whiskey, so yeah, we're happy to be back. It's been a little while. We've had a bit of a break, but we're going to be talking about Shogun tonight from FX, episodes 8 and 9. So those will be we'll have spoilers in that. Hope you've been watching along. You've had plenty of time. The show has been done for a little bit. There's only one episode remaining. And then before that we'll have our weeks to talk about and drink holidays. So just up top before we get into any of that, I want to say last night did a kind of new test stream. It's just a live stream. You can find it on demand on Twitch and on X and YouTube, and it's topic focused. So the last one we were just talking about Fallout TV show. So you can, if you've watched that, enjoyed it or didn't, you can tune in and listen to our thoughts on that. Leave comments below. That show, whatever you want to call it going forward, but Podcast Live won't go to the podcast. It's not going to your Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It's not the full show of whatever we want to talk about. It's specifically a topic. And we'll hopefully be doing another one of those on Friday, Andrea and I,
Mhm.
for something a little less orthodox, I guess. I told the blokes that were on with me for Fallout we'd be talking Anya Taylor-Joy fashion for um to like kind of the press tour for Furiosa, and they were less than excited, but hopefully some of you out there are. So
Hey now, I say props to you for being a well-rounded person. We can go from talking Fallout TV show to Anya Taylor-Joy's fashion. Like, you know what?
right,
People can have multiple dimensions in whatever they want.
that's true. I'm like a D20. I got so many sides.
That
So
was a great nerd
um
joke.
A nerd I am, and I'm gonna nerd out pretty good in my upcoming week here. So we'll get to
I
that in
see
just a
that.
bit, but make sure you like, share, subscribe in all the places. If you're watching live, tuning in, please give us a like. Feel free to add into the chat. Keep it on top if you can, and we'll try to incorporate what you say into the show. And yeah. Speaking of things I'm gonna incorporate into my belly during the show is a liquid beverage of some sort. Are there
Yeah.
certain, is there a drink holiday I should be celebrating in particular?
Well, for goodness sakes, you could just pick one of about a million, because
Yeah,
it's been a while since we've done the show. So we have quite the backlog of drink holidays piling up. Which is good because I have not done a whole bunch that's pop culture related in these weeks. So my time can be taken up just getting through what the 9+ drink holidays that we have here. Um, it's been since the beginning of May that we have not had a show. So I'll just run through kind of the opening 3 weeks, which side note is terrifying to say because I will be leaving in just less than 3 weeks now for a foreign country. I cannot
Wow.
believe how fast May has gone.
Yeah,
It's insane. Um,
right.
but yeah, so taking it up from the top, May 3rd was International Sauvignon Blanc Day. So if you are a white wine lover heading into the months of summer, looking for those lighter wines, that could have been one of your days. More to come on wine days. But also, we have a classic in the beginning of May, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. Raise a glass with tequila if that is your thing. It's definitely mine. I enjoy a good margarita and or tequila on the rocks. So, another alcohol that you can enjoy, vodka, a classic. Cosmopolitan Day was May 7th. I am not a cosmopolitan girl. I have made too many. I have told people before I bartended at the height of Sex in the City days, and so I could go the rest of my
Cosmoed
life
out.
with.
Yeah.
Yes, I could go the rest of my life without seeing, drinking, making a cosmopolitan. But I get it if you're big fans of Carrie and the Gang, May 7th was your day. You do have to share it though with a decidedly un-Carrie like beverage.
Mm,
May 7th is also homebrew day. So not only
okay.
beer, but homemade beer. Um, just doesn't strike me as very compatible with the glitz and glamour of cosmopolitan New York. So,
No.
whatever kind of individual you are, or if you're the both, if you're like John, you're a D20 and you've got all kinds
Right.
of sides, that could have been your
Mhm.
day. May 9th, Moscato Day, going back to those light white wines as we head into summer. That I have not had a Moscato in quite a while. It's such like a sweet wine. I feel like it's the baby wine that we all drink
Sure.
at first when we're like, "Ooh, what's this? It's so sweet and fruity." And then as you get older, you're like, "Woof, okay, gut rot. Let me try something else."
Use it in a
So,
cocktail or something.
yeah, or sometimes it's like a nice small glass with like a dessert is okay, but it's just not
Sure.
something I would probably drink solo by the glass.
Right.
So, Um, and then we have a day that, you can do whatever you want, that, you celebrate however, whichever you like, because May 13th was World Cocktail Day. So you can do anything with that, literally.
All encompassing. Yep.
Yes, all encompassing, all welcoming. May 13th was also the kickoff of American Craft Beer Week. So that just ended a few days ago, May 13th to the 19th. uh, Raise a pint glass or a can or a bottle to any of your favorite American craft beers. Or if that's not your jam, Mimosa Day was May 16th. I think we all enjoy a good breakfast
Yes.
cocktail. It's a crowd pleaser, light, refreshing. I certainly
Mhm.
enjoy. So yeah, May 16th was National Mimosa Day. We're almost done, I swear. May 18th, World Whiskey Day. I
Alright.
felt like with the hiatus of this podcast, our opening as provided by you, John, sometimes there's whiskey. Today there is whiskey. So
Alright.
cheers. Cheers to a whiskey drink.
Quite a,
Uh,
crimson hue to that whiskey you have there.
Potentially intentional, due
Okay,
to the
okay,
the title of one of our Shogun episodes.
okay.
So
Oh,
yes,
yeah. Wow, I even picked the
that is
word. Wow.
you did. Well done. You
Man.
did your homework. This
Okay.
is how close we are. I don't even have to say
Yeah.
anything. I just have to hold up the glass and
Yeah.
And finally, we are at the end now. Yesterday, May 21st, was Chardonnay Day. So yeah, May is all about those white wines. If that's your jam, May is your month.
Can't,
Whew.
you can fit into any category here somehow. Pick there's
Yeah,
one that suits something or sometimes multiple overlapping here.
exactly. World
Um,
Cocktail Day, you can make cocktails with wine and or beer.
yeah.
So, yeah, whatever you wanna do.
The National Mimosa Day just made me think of something,
Mm.
I like, if we, try to get out for brunch or something now, often it would be, "Hey, yeah, let's grab a mimosa," or whatever, but now I find myself, it's like, it's early in the day, I'm not gonna make myself more tired. I'm just not gonna do the mimosa. I'm gonna save any drinks I have until later after the kids are asleep. That's kind of
Mhm.
where it sits now, so,
Yep. Yep.
mhm.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. When you drink during the day, there is a very fine line to it. Because you can go too hard and just feel like tired, dried out, and all the worse because you have to stay up for a long time. There's no like prospect
Yeah,
of going to bed and just like, sleeping it off. Or you can, sometimes it is like a mimosa at brunch is like the perfect little like
yeah,
buzz. But
right.
again, like it just has to be the right circumstances. And certainly, the early years of parenthood are not ideal circumstances. So
Yep, yep.
yeah, totally get
Um,
it.
So what's in your are you gonna reveal now what's in your whiskey drink there or like what kind of whiskey it is or anything like that?
Yes. Um, so I do have to say though, when I said whiskey drink and then when you said whiskey drink, all I heard was Chumbawamba. He drinks a whiskey drink, he drinks a vodka drink, he drinks a lager drink. That's all I had. Like, I don't know why. Um, just doing a little throwback in my brain tonight, but yeah, that's all I heard. So
I eh, uh,
sorry for the side note.
no, I don't remember get the reference. Is
You
this
don't
something I
remember
should
Tub
know?
Thumping?
No, I don't know. What is
You don't
this?
remember that song? Oh my god. Oh, that's
It
sad,
was a
John.
popular song that I should know?
Yeah, I feel like you totally would. Like, I
I
just
heard it.
sang, like, this tiny, tiny little part of it, which is not, like, the main part.
Okay. British rock band. Alan sent a thing in here about it. Okay.
You're you're
Tub
totally
thumping.
when you listen to it, you will absolutely know what it is.
All right.
You just wouldn't know that part. It's like a random part.
I will look it up right now.
Okay, good. Thank you. Because now this is, like, making me sad and feeling alone on my island. I just finished saying how close we were, John, and now you don't get my song
I
references. Ugh.
know.
Ugh. Ugh, the
That is
betrayal, the
happening.
backstabbing.
I ads. Okay, go away. All right. Why don't you tell us what's in your let's see if I recognize this. What's in your drink?
Okay. I mean, it's really not gonna take you very long,
Oh,
but yes,
okay.
so
Okay. I got it.
yeah.
It took all of 50 like half a second. All right.
I told you it wasn't gonna take you very long.
Yeah.
It was so
Uh,
ubiquitous. It was everywhere in, like, middle,
mhm.
high school years. It was yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay. Gotcha.
I thought you were gonna
Rewind.
get it. Yeah, I thought you were gonna get it after I said it was Chumbawamba because it was just, like, such a weird band name, and they were just such a one-hit wonder. Like, I do not remember anything else they did.
Me being my weird self, when I grew up, it was like the artists I knew were either like blues musicians that my dad listened to, or
Mm.
some like 70s and 80s rock things that we had
Mhm.
records of,
Mhm.
or it was composers. It was soundtracks.
Okay.
That's what I was always listening.
Okay.
And so I would listen to the radio, but I didn't
Sure.
know bands, like
Sure.
this song is on if I heard the song now, I'd recognize the song, but I didn't
Mhm.
memorize much for lyrics. I just didn't, I wasn't in that. Like a lot of people, I feel like we were on the tail end of people really caring about musicians, that being a thing. I definitely feel like
Mhm.
in the 80s, that was
True.
still definitely a big thing. People selling out venues and cultural influencers were, now it's like not so much except for Taylor Swift or something. Um,
Sure.
so, but I just wasn't, yeah, I wasn't part of it, I guess. So you
Yeah,
could
I
give me a
mean,
lot of music references and they would go over my head from, yeah.
sure, sure. Okay. That is good to know. Also, because I'm always on the lookout for music people for trivia, because that's my weak area as well.
Mm,
When I go out to trivia nights, it's always like they always close with like that 30-second, like, here's a clip of music, get the song and artist,
yep.
and I
And you're
I
like, I
get it
know that
maybe,
song, but I don't know the name
right?
or
But
anything. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, I
Yeah.
have a very specific niche of like, you know, 70s, 80s rock bands,
Hmm.
and then like 90s, 2000s hip hop,
Okay.
and
Yep.
that's it. That's it.
Right.
That's all I got. It's very specific windows and genres. So,
Yep. Right. Okay. Well, I'll let you know if
anyway,
I
I've
know someone that's like, oh, music trivia genius.
yes, please, please. I need to recruit them for my team.
Hmm.
Because yeah, I've got a roster of people with all their kind of like specific niches, but yeah, music is not mine.
All right.
But anyway, after that tangent I've taken us on, my drink,
Yeah.
my whiskey drink. It is just some good old-fashioned Jameson and ginger, and then I did add, a little bit of, Chambord to it
Okay.
to give it
Okay.
that crimson color.
Sure. Nice. All right.
So, yeah, that's all it
Cheers.
is, but it's pretty tasty. Cheers. Are you celebrating any of the many, many, many holidays?
Yeah, I
I see
mean,
a fun color.
cocktail day, of course, that's
Mhm.
easy. And then also, I guess Cinco de Mayo, because I have tequila in here. So it's a
Nice.
gold tequila with passion fruit puree
Ooh, that
and
sounds good.
Sprite. So kind of going with the fruit aid of the week sort of thing again, but passion fruit
Yes.
this time, and now tequila seems fitting for it. So yeah.
I dig it. I dig it. Cheers.
Cheers indeed. It's very refreshing, very delicious. I was mixing it up. It's like this could use because it's world cocktail. I feel it should be something fancier. I'm like, this could use an egg white and some mint. That would be the what I would put in this.
Nice.
Yeah, but I didn't do that. So I don't have mint, and my glass is already full. It wouldn't fit an egg white in there. So yeah,
Sure.
next time.
Well, it still looks delicious and refreshing and, fitting for the month of May as we head into
Yeah,
summertime.
yeah. Okay, so speaking of Tub Thumper from 1997, I think you watched something else that's from
I did!
1997. Yeah.
Hey, man, look at me just providing you with that segue on a silver platter.
Mm-hmm.
Some days it works out, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yes, yes, I have finished, the first season of X-Men '97, on Disney Plus. Oh, man, I will share, like, some thoughts here and some thoughts, in a focused short.
Okay.
But what I have to say is overall, this was done very, very well. I'm very pleased on the whole with the storyline, like the overarching storyline, the characterization of the X-Men, and like the plot twists and turns. I think that they've all provided us with like a storyline that moves forward but pays like beautiful homage to the original cartoon series. That being said, there were some plot points that I was like, "Oh, hell no, you didn't. No, you didn't." I'm guessing you can guess which X-Men it would have involved. It's my baby, Gambit. And I don't wanna do spoilers right now, but there is something massive that happens in this season that in the final, like, 3 seconds they did something that could turn it all around and bring me back, and, I love when that happens. I love when I'm, like, so angry and so mad, and then they do something, it's like, "Oh, you got me, that's intriguing." They have done it. They have done, an excellent job at a cliffhanger for the end of the season.
I don't know
So
what
I
the
would
cliffhanger element is, but I suspect I have heard about the thing that
Yeah.
you're upset about. And yeah, I
Yes.
wanted to say it, but I can understand. I can understand.
Yes. Yes. They,
Um,
they did this event, um in a manner that it kind of echoed and encompassed another major mutant from the series, and then we found out very immediately that it was a twist for this other mutant, and then they, like, kind of brought it back around in another way. I'll just say the mutant, it's Magneto. Um, Magneto's storyline this particular season, I've just really enjoyed because he's gotten to embody a lot of different roles other than just, like, villain.
mhm.
He's been, like, sympathetic, he's been, like, a plot twist, he's been, irredeemable again, and then there was, like, a penultimate episode where it really felt like he was going to be he was going to be killed in a very, like, "Wow, this is, like, years in the making" kind of way, and then,
Yeah.
again, there was, like, an immediate plot shift, and I was just like, "Wow, this is this is really taking me all over the place with his journey. Um,
Roller coaster ride.
but I really liked it. I really liked it. Yeah.
Good. That's great. Yeah, I've heard mostly good things.
Mhm.
It's kind of sad. It sounds like they fired the writer showrunner.
No.
Yeah.
Why? That's shocking. I had not
There's
heard that.
I have heard things, but they're just rumors. I don't know. I nothing concrete to say about it. There's um but I guess basically the second season is written and well underway. So season
Okay.
2 will essentially have been made under him as well.
Okay.
So it's from
So
season
really
3
it's
on, it's gonna have to
3.
be someone else. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless
Hmm.
they change course here because the show does well. But I don't think it's doing numbers well, which
Ooh,
I
that's sad.
understand because, you know, I didn't have any confidence in the show before it came out. Hopes, but not confidence. So
Mhm.
I don't blame anyone for not watching it. But at the same time, it's too bad if this won't continue because it sounds like
Mhm.
the best thing Marvel's put out in years. So
It's it's really great. Honestly, I get that, like, X-Men right now would have like, pre-'97 would have a bad rap. I have never really enjoyed live action X-Men, and in particular, obviously, like, the recent movies did not do well, understandably so. Um, I don't necessarily think that that was, like, an extra function of them being live action, but this like, cartoons is X-Men's medium. Like, this is just
right.
everything that's right about the classic X-Men is brought back here. I'm not saying everything's perfect or, like, I wouldn't change things or, like, have some notes, but, like, on the whole, this is, like, core excellence, for X-Men here in the cartoon.
Extra excellence X-Men.
I know, I know.
um, well,
Just on the
I
riffing
mean,
tonight.
if you felt so inclined, you could always do a Popcast live, just you and Pete, because I know Pete has watched it. If you want to do a full spoiler talk or
Yeah.
something with him, that would be an option. But
Heck yes.
yeah, hoping to see it sometime here. I don't know if it's ever going to get a DVD release or not, but we'll see. So
Yeah, you
but
definitely
I'm glad
should.
you liked
You would
it.
like it.
Yeah, and it sounds like the animation was done well from what I heard, and
Mhm.
a little bit of I think you commented on the theme song just being a little different, kind of a
Yes.
fun
Yeah.
change.
It's I mean, it's the same with the animation. I mean, I have gone back and started watching, like, the classic X-Men as well because now, now I'm just, like, reminded of all my love for that, and it's
Yeah,
available, so, why not? Um, but yeah, both the animation, and the theme song have just, like they're still very core back in the original, but just with, like, a little update. Not again, not so different that it feels like, "Ugh, that's not what I enjoy," but just, like, enough that you're like, "Yeah, I see what you did there." So and it's
sorry, I
fun
can
because
hear you.
obviously no, it's okay. It's fun, obviously, because some of the voice actors have come back, so they tug at the nostalgia as well, but obviously, we're people. As we get older, our voices change, so their voices
Right.
are a little bit different too. So it all kind of feels like it fits within this theme of, like, here's our home base, but we're just, like, pushing a little bit out for you to, say, like, "Hey, this is new territory." So it all
Right.
works. It all comes together pretty cohesively.
I'm envious. I love the X-Men so much. And like you say, it's kind of one of those things all of a sudden you're reminded that, oh yeah,
Mhm.
I really like this thing. You get into
Yeah.
other stuff or whatever, but then I just pulled this out because I know it was been next to my desk here under kind of a pile for a while. It's this thing I printed a long time ago when I was like starting to um like work out more from home and stuff. And so I did this like print up sheet here.
I
It's got
love
the
it.
X-Men on it, got Scott, and then it just
I
says
love
Parker,
it.
and so
Oh, that's definitely something they keep in the new show. Everybody is, like, ridiculously ripped and has, like, 30,000 packs. I'm not even gonna say, like, 8 packs. It's just, like, muscles on muscles on muscles. It's
mhm,
so over the top ridiculous that it's so much fun.
mhm,
So, yeah, that's
awesome.
definitely something they keep, um, while still somehow managing to make people look different. They're all ridiculously like, all the guys are ridiculously muscular, and it's so
But still
insane, and
different
yet
builds.
but yeah, still different builds, like, it's enough different that it's like, they're still distinct. So,
Yep,
I enjoy that.
cool. Okay. Well, that's all you got on your list here, I see. So that's a good one. It's a
Yeah,
good
I
one.
did forget I watched one other thing, I watched the first half of the new season of Bridgerton. Um
Okay.
Just it's not something I usually talk about, so I just totally forgot that I actually watched it, but I did.
Okay.
That's the only other
All right.
thing I've watched.
First half, is that it's all that's out right now, or that's just where you got to?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
They're doing, like, one of those, like, half season and then, like, the second half of the season
Yeah.
releases, I think, like, June 13th or something. So,
That's another thing
while
you
I'm
could
gone
do a
in Scotland.
podcast live on. You could do
Yes.
grab
Yes, true.
anyone you know that's watching it, and
That'd
I
be a
know
good one
Ashley's
for Dana and I.
yeah, that's what I was thinking if she's
Or
watching that then.
yeah, or if Ashley is too, she could come join us.
She has not started, she's just been into Outlander, just like
Sure.
Outlander, so that's really what she's been on,
Sure.
so I think she's happy with that, and she goes through it pretty quick, but, maybe this is probably what's next for her, I would guess.
Sure.
Um, cool. Well, yeah, I mean, it's been a while, so I got quite a bit of stuff done. I did finish Fallout, as I mentioned, our live stream talk of that is up on the channel, so you can look at
Mhm.
my thoughts on that. Um, Furiosa is coming out on
Mhm.
Friday, so I managed to watch Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior. Um, I had previously attempted watching the first Mad Max a couple times and just never could never make it through it. It just didn't
Sure.
grab me and suck me in. And so I'd heard the Road Warrior is the best one, a really good one. So I thought, well, I'm just gonna skip it and watch this one. And it was very good. I mean, I can see where it didn't blow my mind, and that's why I texted you later. It's like I think honestly, just watch Mad Max Fury Road because you can see some of the
Mhm.
things that they've taken from Road Warrior, put in Mad Max Fury Road, and now done way more impressively, expanded
Mhm.
upon. You can see where the idea blossomed in this, and then they with more capabilities later, uh,
Sure.
made that better. Um, and so I don't know, maybe it's best to see this and then see the improved version. Um, but yeah, maybe I'm wrong on that. Everybody in the chat, let me know what you think. But I enjoyed it. It's a solid story. It's solid acting. They do a good job of you putting you in this what feels like a different world side of kind of scenario. They stick with it. It's the very crazy, kind of over the top bad guys,
Mhm.
often wearing ridiculous things. It's like, is this exactly where how society would devolve? Maybe
Mhm.
not, but it's fun to play with it in that way and create these
Mhm.
larger than life characters. So
Yes.
that was good. It's it's good and violent. It's predictable enough while still having a few surprises. So yeah, it's just a solid kind of 80s action movie. So thumbs up. And it got me more pumped for Furiosa.
Sweet. I was trying to
Um
I was trying to remember God, what show do I keep watching? Miracle Workers, End Times.
Mm,
That's very much like the riff
yeah.
off of, like, Mad Max and all of that,
Yes.
where it's, like, post-apocalyptic, everybody's, like, in the desert in crazy costumes, just, like,
Yep.
you know, wildly like, "Oh, yeah, I would totally wear this, like, over the top hairstyle and, like, half piece of clothing with barbed wire, you
Yeah.
know, like, just, like, something so random that you're like, "Sure, yeah, of course, that's
Mhm.
what you'd wear in the apocalypse." So, yeah.
It's it's one of those things they advertise, films by George Miller, and they say, like, by the mastermind, George Miller,
Mhm.
genius, George Miller, and, but there's something to it in the sense that I think his Mad Max films were very influential on pop culture and
Yeah.
our idea of a version of a post-apocalyptic, in this case, Australia or whatever. Um, and so I don't think that is has been overstated. Um, it's when you look at something like Borderlands or Fallout, some of these video games, Rage, these things feel Mad Max. Um,
Mhm.
it's it created a different
Yep.
a different version, a really aesthetically original kind of thing, and that
Mhm.
holds true to today yet. And like listening to a lot of his some of his interviews, he has a cool approach and idea. I hate listening to actors or writers or directors talk about the film that they're doing or a part of or whatever, and it feels like they have no insight at all. It's like they
Sure.
just made a thing, you know, but you can tell then the
Right.
people that have a reason for everything and like have thought it out and care and whatever. And so I think he's thought it out. He understands why he's telling the story he does and the way he does and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I think that that show was in at least what I've seen of his. So
Mhm.
um okay. The other thing I really want to talk about is I've been on a massive Doctor Who kick. It's like a couple weeks ago, it was Star Wars. I don't know what like brought that on, and then now it's been Doctor Who. What brought this
Sure.
on was like the new season of Doctor Who started, which Doctor Who's been dead to me for a while. Um, it like I think that if I was telling someone to watch Doctor Who, and you were looking at not the classic stuff but the newer stuff, I'd tell you to watch from Eccleston through the 50th anniversary and then be done,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
you had really consistent, solid stuff for a lot of it, like more than you could ask for kind of consistency. And it sort of wraps up nicely. The 50th anniversary is fun, getting Tennant back involved,
Mhm.
finding out about the war doctor. It's a lot
Yep.
of good
Yep.
stuff. And it's done that because once you get into Capaldi, the quality is just, to me, up and down. Like there's some good
Yeah.
episodes and there's some really weak ones. And it's just, I don't know. I felt bad because I like Capaldi. I think he could have been a
Mhm.
fantastic doctor, and at times he was. But
Mhm.
that was sort of where it was, even some of the later Matt Smith stuff was tapering. So I just think Capaldi and onward, just
Mhm.
forget about it. So that's my take. But
Yeah.
anyways, uh,
Yeah, someone who made it through all of Capaldi, it was a rough go. It took me, I think, 3 times. And like you said, like the beginning is just it's so rough and it's so different that it's really hard to get into. Once you do, again, there's like, as with any show, they obviously have like quality episodes and there's times when it's just like, well, that one, wasn't quite up to snuff, but yeah, the you can definitely tell the inconsistency more. Like it's
yeah,
clearer the inconsistent writing.
yeah,
So I get
yeah.
it.
It, when saw the first, like, we went to in the theater, the
Mhm.
Capaldi's first real thing. I liked that a lot, and I was very excited for what Capaldi could bring because he, in that, embodied to me a doctor that was more like the first doctor. I was like, it's time we
Mhm.
have that grumpy old man, more serious sort of thing.
Mhm.
In that movie, he, like, pushes someone out of a
Right.
building or something. It's like he's just a little more no nonsense. And I've said it many times in the past. I feel like they just couldn't commit to that. And he started to
Mhm.
become more like the previous few doctors.
Yeah.
And
Which, I mean, on the one hand, it was fun to have 3, very pretty boys play the doctor. On the other hand, there got to be an element of sameness
yeah,
to, like, the doctor's, new selves, new doctors. Like, it seems odd after some of the variety that we had that, it would just be like, "Oh, now we have another young, like, attractive male doctor."
yeah,
So, I think we were all excited for Peter Capaldi to bring something fresh,
yeah,
um, that they couldn't quite commit to because I think they did lose some viewership and there was some fear there. And then Capaldi, instead of being different, was weird for a little
true.
bit until
Yeah.
I think he found, like, the character eventually,
Hmm.
but the backtracking, I think, lost even more viewers because there was some sort of, like, regulation where we tried to had to figure out, like, who this doctor was, and it just wasn't, resonating with the audience.
Yeah. All of a sudden, he's got a guitar and sunglasses, and like, this is not the doctor we signed up for in this one. Like,
Well, and I think also for myself, his TARDIS interior was hard to connect to. It was very, like,
cold.
cold, sleek, um, which could have been, I think, a fun contrast to his, like, crotchety old man. It definitely felt like his dress, his demeanor, the fact that he was, like, an older gentleman, it could have been like, "Oh, let's just, like, naturally throw it back," and so I think they were trying to do something futuristic and different to
Yeah.
provide some, like, visual contrast there too, and again, it just came off like not a great connection. It didn't all come together to fit.
Mhm. Yeah, and they did some emotional good stuff with Clara, but I think she stayed a
Mhm.
little past her prime because, Clara really I liked Clara a lot, and then
Mhm.
the one thing I'll say, the most important thing Capaldi's era gave us was some proper closure between Matt Smith's doctor and Clara, because Clara
Mhm.
was treated horribly by Matt Smith's doctor towards the end of his run. Horribly.
Mhm.
It was just like Amy Pond, Amy Pond, Amy Pond again. It was like we had to draw this connection to her between the two. And I really didn't like that. Made me pretty upset. So they remedied that in the early, maybe second
Mhm.
episode or something like that of Capaldi's run.
Mhm. Yep.
So that was the biggest deal. And
Yeah.
yeah. So anyways,
So
I'm
you've
always
not been
open.
watching Capaldi.
Yeah, I have not been watching any. I've not been. I've been watching classic Doctor Who on Pluto television. It's just
Okay.
free with ads, the classic stuff. I started over the like season one from the kind of reboot.
Mm.
I didn't watch the first two episodes because I had watched those not all that long ago. I know them
Sure.
well, so just started at three, went three through seven. So it's just been fun watching Eccleston, again with the kind of foreknowledge and you know seeing them get their feet on the ground and like the different emotional elements. Like the first time you see a Dalek in there with him, like
Mhm.
he does so good. And when we were watching, not having familiarity with Doctor Who
Mhm.
previously, I why are you so scared of this thing, all this sort of stuff. Like, why are you freaking out so much? And now understanding, it's great.
Right.
And I have an
Right.
even better understanding now because what I've been doing this new Doctor Who to me is I've been listening to Big Finish's Eighth Doctor adventures. So
Okay.
there is this company called Big Finish, and they have for years done full cast radio dramas basically. And they get back like Tom Baker, the fourth Doctor, and they get back a bunch of the previous doctors. Even they got Eccleston back now, and they do stories and then act them out and have the sound effects and the whole deal. So ever
That's
since
fun.
right before the 50th anniversary, I saw the Eighth Doctor. They showed us how he regenerated into the
Mhm.
War Doctor. I
Mhm.
was immediately interested in his look. Like, he grabbed my attention, so I'm like, I want to know more about the Eighth Doctor. And since then, I had looked up these things, and they sort of around the time, I believe, did a kinda reboot for him in a sense, and Paul McGann is the Eighth Doctor, so they brought him in, and he's been doing them again for years, but kind of fresh take. And so I started with the Dark Eyes series. So there's 4 separate box sets of Dark Eyes. You can just get them all digitally, and some of them you have to because they're out of print, if you're a little older. But I got all 4 of these, and each one is 4 CDs. And Big Finish has an app as well, so you can just listen to it digitally, which I did in the tractor. Yeah, I cranked it up and listened to all these different things. So for me, this has been great because it's just like feels like classic Doctor Who adventures. I get to know a different Doctor better,
Sure.
um, new companions. I never get tired of hearing the Daleks scream "exterminate" and and bark orders and stuff like that.
Exterminate. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I listened to Dark Eyes 1 through 4. It's starts off in World War One, and you're kind of following this like nurse in France during the First World War, and the doctor gets involved in this and kind of takes on a new companion. But at the beginning of this, he's sort of lost hope because he's lost his previous companion in a tragic
Mm.
manner, and so at this point, the Time Lords are around yet, and one of the Time Lords, Straxus, says, "How far will you go to like, if I can prove to you that you'll have hope again, and you have a reason for living yet." And so they kind of set him on this thing, doesn't know exactly what's going on, and that leads us to, hopefully the Doctor finds hope again. So, it really goes through a lot of different times. We definitely deal with classic villains. We have Daleks. We have uh, Centaurians. I think they're called.
Mhm.
I forget they're like the potato guys. They were really
Yes.
fun in this. We have the Master, and then there's some creatures and stuff that I wasn't familiar with. There's one of them I think was only in one other story, maybe, that they really expand this called the Eminence, and so we get kind of a
Mm,
creepier story with the Eminence,
okay.
and for their origin. So that's a lot of fun to hear, and
Yeah, I don't know that one.
yeah, it's like it is basically a living sort of living entity in a kind of a gaseous form, and it can take over people's bodies, and they serve as sort of like a hive mind. Um,
Mm,
and it was cool and creepy and stuff. So
okay. Yeah.
um, yeah, I recommend them highly. There's 4 volumes. They're not cheap. They really kind of start someplace and they end up wrapping up pretty well. I think probably volume 1, Dark Eyes 1 and Dark Eyes 3 are probably my favorite. You could listen to them all separately. They do a pretty good job of like being um more
Standalone.
satisfying if you listen to them all, but yes, understandable if you weren't to. So,
Sure.
um, yeah, I'm trying not to spend all my money catching up on these now, trying to pace them out a little bit because I am on to the next. So after these four, well, it's Paul McGann's next one is called Doom Coalition. So I've been starting that, listen to that some as I run and stuff like that. So
Okay.
um, yeah, if anyone's interested in getting started in any of this, Big Finish has you can find them on Spotify, and
Mhm.
if you have a free account, you can't listen to like everything in order or something, however it goes. But they put together playlists by different doctors and all this stuff, and so like you can go to the Eighth Doctor or whatever, and there's stuff that's available on there is older, but you can give it a sample of like what they do. And there's a lot of like if you look up some of the Eighth Doctor's best adventures, a lot of them are on there. And if you have a paid Spotify account, you can listen to all of them straight in order, kind of thing. So this is strictly like if you want to then purchase to own some of the newer stuff. There's ones I want to cover. Paul McGann is in it with David Tennant. So the eighth and
Mm,
the 10th Doctor are together in an adventure. And
that's fun.
there's a series on the War Doctor. So they got Hurt,
Mhm.
to reprise his role. So I can't guarantee they're all going to be good. I don't know. But what I have listened to so far in Dark Eyes was enjoyable. Recommended. So
Excellent.
yeah.
It's always fun to come back to Doctor Who. I feel like that's kind of one of the first, like, things we did, all 4 of us in our Concord Street house is
Mhm.
watch Doctor Who together.
Yes. And like just as we started watching him again, Ashley and I kind of start remembering other episodes and like, oh yeah, this one, oh yeah, that one.
Mm,
And then
sure.
moments like, oh, that was crushing. That, there's not another show really that is structured so well that can take you anywhere with anyone of any time and
Mhm.
all this sort of thing. And that allows for a lot of creative storytelling because the confines are just gone. And
Right.
there's just gut-wrenching emotional stuff in a lot of these that are really clever things, and it is fun to go back to rewatch, to rediscuss some of them because uh on one hand it's sad how like far it's fallen. On the other hand, they can never take that away, and
Mhm.
it's a lot of good stuff. So okay. Now that I'm all warm and fuzzy talking about Doctor Who and reminiscing about it and all this sort of thing, let's keep the momentum going and reminisce about Pac-Man. You ever played Pac-Man?
Heck
It's
yes.
Pac-Man celebrating a
Heck yes, I
birthday.
played. Yes, I love that. I haven't thought about that in so long, but that was one of the, uh, games that was at the bar that my grandma used to work at, and I would
Mm,
go with her sometimes to work as a kid. Not like a little kid, but like, 10 years old and 15 years old and stuff.
yep,
And Pac-Man was there, and I used to love to play that. Love, love, love. That was, yeah, that was one of my favorites there at the bar.
nice. I never put a lot of time into Pac-Man, but it's like, you gotta play at least a game or two, so it's a classic, um, and Pac-Man's 44, so as of today,
Happy
so everybody
birthday.
wish him a birthday. Yeah, happy one. Um, I liked played at a gaming convention a while ago, a tabletop version of Centipede. That's what it was.
Oh,
And
okay.
so it's like
I thought
built
you were gonna
into a
say
table.
Pac-Man, and I was like, "Mm."
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. No, it's yeah, it was really cool. I wish it was for sale. Could have bought it, but yeah. Anyways, Pac-Man still going. There's still new games out there. So check out some of those maybe. I know you're a fan of, well, Pac-Man now, but you're also a fan of cooking
Yes.
shows.
Yes, I
And
am.
did you see this news here? The Harry Potter cooking
No.
show?
No, I didn't. I love it though. This is
Yeah.
fantastic. I will watch the heck out of this.
Yeah. So it's coming like this holiday season or something, and
Yes.
it
It's
looks
perfect.
it from the preview, it looks high produced and all kinds of Harry Potter themed cooking challenges on the Food Network. So this
Mhm.
really seems like the thing to pull me back into some Food Network goodness. Um, because I don't turn it on too much anymore these days, but just kind of background once in a while for a Halloween baking championship or something like that. But
Yes. Halloween Wars. That's still my
yeah.
jam. I still love it, especially now that they brought it back to like more of like a combo of new and classic stuff where for a while there they didn't have pumpkin carving and I was like, "I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What is this?" Like, no, no, no.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
All right. Well, we have that to look forward to. And I'm gonna skip this other thing unless you have something to say about it, in particular. And
I don't right now, but I think I will after I actually watch this.
okay.
We can just I mean, we can just mention it saying
Yeah.
like the Dune Prophecy trailer dropped, which is a TV series based on, Frank Herbert's Dune, obviously, you know, expanding off of the success of the movies. I like the cast at first blush, but like I said, haven't watched the trailer, so I don't know what I think about that yet. But next time.
Yeah. I mean, the Dune movies are high production value, well done.
Mhm.
So I hope that this doesn't kind of sully that, and they also
Yeah.
do the this world that's been put forward justice now. So,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
it's
yeah, I
HBO
mean,
Max.
this is this is definitely like a money pit potential. You've gotta sink money in it to make money, but, like, you could also be just sinking money into nothing if you're not
Yeah.
gonna find a place for, this.
Yep.
It's one of those gambles, like, House of the Dragon was obviously a
Yeah.
gamble because that was gonna always take a shit ton of money to produce
Mhm.
that. So, I think this is also gonna take a shit ton of money and hopefully comes out as well as Hot D did.
Yeah. We're when you get back from your trip, basically, we're probably gonna have to get into Hot D. Like that's coming right up. So, yep.
That's what I
So,
like to hear.
yeah.
Come back from your trip and get into some Hot D.
Yeah. It'll be waiting for you. Um, things have been waiting for me for quite a while. My sort of sling DVR has been Shogun, and
Yeah.
Shogun from FX, episodes 8 and 9. So we'll only have one episode
Mhm.
left after this, but we thought hopefully we'll get Dustin, our big super samurai fan friend, back on the
Mhm.
show to talk about kind of the whole thing in the last episode. So yeah, we got the 8th episode and the penultimate. I know last time we discussed, you were feeling like things needed to move, and it was a
Mhm.
little sluggish. Do you feel like it moved?
Yes, although it did take until episode 9 really. Episode 8 was, a bit more I'm glad we ended up breaking it up this way because I feel like if we had watched, like, the 3 episodes and then the 2, that would have been
Mhm.
really tough for me because, like, 6, 7, 8 would have been a lot of just, like, everybody's getting set up to do the thing, and so
Right.
those really would have dragged. So, yeah, episode 8 was still definitely, like, Toranaga setting up his, chess pieces on the board and in anticipation of making the moves. It did, of course, like, conclude with the first of the pieces moving in a
Right.
very, very shocking way,
Yes.
that we can get into, but yes, I do feel like this show is finally going forward, you know, Toranaga showing some of his hand in setting up scenarios, with, seeing potentially how everything is going to play out. Some of them I can see where he's going, others, with Yabashige and our main character, Blackthorn, the Anjin, I'm not sure where that journey is going in terms of, like, helping Toranaga.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So I'm intrigued because this show has always given me, I think, a sense of like, I can see a lot of things that are happening and I can guess a lot of stuff that's going on. And then it always keeps like one or two surprises in reserve, for me to not get too. That's how I feel with these two episodes as well.
Sure. Um, yeah, kind of looking back at it is a lot of, and this show has been recently a lot of character moments. It's a
Mhm.
lot of how does one person feel about another, but we can't come out and right say it, so we have to sort of play this game and demonstrate how everybody feels about each other in the different relationships through sort of a more roundabout way. For
Mhm.
instance, we get in this scene, and this I guess ends more bluntly, but it's like, oh man, this could have maybe been said and done a long time ago. But it's sort of this scene with uh oh shoot, I should look at everybody's names again because now I'm just blanking on them. Um
Describe.
Mariko,
Oh
her
yeah.
her and her husband,
Buntaro.
is Buntoro. He is making matcha tea
Mm.
for her,
Mhm.
and so it's an interesting little, like, ceremony moments, like, making it proper, and, she ends it by he's offering to, "Hey, let's just
Mm.
die together before instead of
Right. I'm
going
finally
on
I'm finally
dying this
gonna give
way."
you what you want.
Yeah, and she's like, "The last thing
Mm.
on earth I would wanna do is die together with you, like, side by side." It's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
you guys should have just got apart a long time ago." Like, this is just awful, so, I mean, that was one of the most blunt things we've seen and heard or whatever, but that was a strong moment, but,
Yeah, yeah, I even commented on that because for a second, I felt really bad for Buntaro. Like, I wrote in my notes, I was like, "Ouch, Mariko,"
yeah,
and then I was like, "Oh, right, yeah, no, he's abusive and he's awful, like, don't feel too sorry for him." But for a moment there, it was like, "I'm really in here, I'm really caring, I'm gonna give you what you want," and then, Mariko is like, "No, I see through this. This is you being selfish, you've never really shown up as my husband, so, you know, I'm just gonna stick to the plan and be what Toranaga needs me to be."
yeah. It's, yeah, I wrote a note on this too. My full thing. Yikes, harsh. If it was a matter of her just not liking him, then why not have the divorce? Really don't understand their relationship. So she was just miserable the whole time because she doesn't like him, or is it because he beat her, or did that come later? I really don't know. I don't understand this because he's thinking she wants to die, but does she just want to
Right,
die so she's rid of him? Or but he loved her and she'd never reciprocate. So it's like,
right.
I, I, it's
There
just,
was a Yeah, there was, like, a lot of layers to her dislike. I think initially she disliked him because she felt like he was lower than what she deserved in a marriage. Like, we have that, like, super quick flashback of, her growing up, when we're really learning more about her and Lady Ochiba's relationship. And, she's like, "Why didn't you, find me a different husband? Like, why am I just being married off right now? I don't get it." So that it starts off on like a sour note for her. And then, of
right.
course, like immediately turns worse where she doesn't love him. He clearly loves her. Like, this, is already a match where expectations and reality are clashing in very different ways. And then we have her father and
Yep.
his, betrayal, the slaughter of her whole family. All she wants to do is be like, "Peace out. I never wanted this marriage anyway." And he's like, "Nah, you're gonna stay with me." And then I don't know where along the line it turned abusive.
Right.
but it's just like a progression for her of like, I didn't like you, now I don't like you some more, now I really hate you.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting. But but character moments like that, because otherwise, like the things I'm drawn to really are the two major moments. The
Mm,
you
yeah.
have so you have um Toranaga's right hand man, and
Hiromatsu.
what is it?
Hiromatsu.
Kitamatsu. And I need to see how you read this exactly, because once again, Toranaga keeps no one in the loop. Everybody's in the dark. So we have the scene now that he says, you need to change your idea of giving up here,
Mhm,
or I'm going to commit seppuku right here. It's going to happen
mhm,
right now. I'm going to kill myself. And this is, do we think this is happening because he was told this is what must happen should anyone like show that they're not going to follow the plan. They're not going to follow me. Anyone shows disloyalty in the group, you have to do this to like kind of shut it down. On top of that, convince our enemies that I'm serious and I've given up, that I'm willing to
mhm,
sacrifice my dude that's been with me
mhm,
forever, because that's how much I've surrendered.
mhm,
Or is he thinking, I know what Toranaga is thinking because I know him so well, and I will
mhm,
do this for him, but I've not been asked. I just know this is what needs to happen, because he could
mm,
see that other people in the room are ready to draw their sword at this point. Again, because
sure,
if we're not following you down this way, so this whole thing stops that, like
mhm,
proves the dedication. Um, and then he also tells his son, Buntaro, like, don't give up on Toranaga, even when it looks like he's given up on himself.
mhm.
So, how do you read this scene? How do you read what's going
Yeah, yeah, so I've reinterpreted that scene or reread it now in later context several times because in the moment, I was really shocked. I really thought that they were playing a game of chicken. And I was like,
on?
"Don't do
Mhm,
it, Toranaga. He will commit seppuku. He
mhm,
is committed. You're both staring down, the end of the sword here." And Hiramatsu is absolutely going to point it at himself to make this point to you. And so I was initially wildly devastated in that moment.
mhm,
And then, in the context of him saying, "Don't give up on Toranaga," even when it looks like he's given up on himself. I reread it as like Hiromatsu thinks this is what needs to be done to convince Toranaga to go on, to convince everybody else not to revolt, like, you know, without asking, he's done this for Toranaga.
mhm.
And then in the following episode, I reevaluated again when Toranaga threw out to Mariko, Hiromatsu knew his duty. And I was like, "Oh my
Right.
god, this must be part of Crimson Sky." This was a catalyst moment. It was a moment to serve as a binding agent for Tornaga's people and also a sign to his enemies, to Ishido, that he really has really, doing a wildly different version of a Trojan horse here.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm,
to play dead and show his belly until he can flip over and strike. And I think it's because Toranaga, yes, Hiromatsu was absolutely Toranaga's like number one right hand man, but he's got a lot of those kinds of people in his service. People
none
who
that
are
yeah.
loyal, who know him, not again, Hiromatsu number 1 for sure, but he's got a lot of people who've been with him a long time, who know him well, who are absolutely dedicated to his service in different ways. Like Mariko obviously is another person similar, not the same. Um, his hidden samurai in the fishing village. I cannot remember his name
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I've been
Sure.
I've been your samurai, I've been your spy, and he's like, "Yep, continued your loyal service, my mighty warrior." He's got these kinds of people, so he it is a devastating blow, but I think it's one he knows he can recover from because he's got other people, and
Hmm.
he needs to keep, everybody unified for this plan to work. So, that is my several layers of reevaluation on that
Yeah,
scene. I now think it's part of Crimson Sky, and it's a
sure.
shitty part of it. I hate it,
Hmm.
but it did what it needed to do.
Kind of. Ishido's still like, "You're
Mostly.
up to something," you know? It's so like,
I
"I
mean,
don't think you're up
yeah.
to this."
I don't think
Yeah,
anybody was really gonna believe, like, there was gonna be nothing, but I think that they're convinced that even if he has a trick up his sleeve, it's probably not going to be anything major and or might not be successful
right.
without Hiramatsu.
Yeah. I mean, it does sort of begin to paint the picture that w and it's realistic in a sense that oftentimes you would imagine a general is sending people to what is assuredly death. They're being commanded to do something that they will likely not come back from alive.
Mhm.
Usually it's not kill yourself, but definitely have, suicide missions. That's absolutely been a thing or whatever. And in the
Right,
culture of like ultimate loyalty, um, dying for your master. I mean, we've seen it before. Like I disobeyed Blackthorn here, and therefore I have to be dead.
right,
I took
right.
down the hanging animal,
Pheasant,
and
yeah.
therefore, yep, I'm dead. So when you add that kind of context, you're like, well, I guess I can totally see asking your most trusted people to go and put your life down for me. That's kind of like what they're are meant to do in a way.
Right. And I think for us as an audience, we've seen that be senseless before, following orders to a point where you just don't feel it makes sense. Um, obviously, with the older gentleman, oh, I can't remember his name. I think it begins with a U, who does take down the pheasant and, therefore must die. And Blackthorn is like, what are you talking about? This was
Yeah.
just a bird. I didn't really care about this.
Yeah.
Um, or, even our beginning episode where Fuji's husband steps out of line and
Yeah.
therefore he
Exactly.
and their infant son both die.
Yep.
We've seen this carried out at what to us seems, a nonsensical level, a useless level. Have they died for anything? And
Hmm.
now we're seeing an instance where, there is some meaning given to it. Obviously for Hiramatsu, like hopefully this is, the beginning of this plan. Get Japan out from under Ishido and Lady Ochiba's thumb. Um, Restore balance and order here. And, in the next episode, we get Mariko. Also, she goes into what might be considered a more traditional version of a suicide mission where, she's clearly going to be risking, if not giving up her life to prove a point that Ishido is holding all these people hostage. She's initially probably not going to kill herself, like she is going to be killed. And then
Right.
it turns into, she is going to have to be the one to kill herself and make a martyr out of herself.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, so I think there's this juxtaposition of these two deaths here versus like the beginning of the season where they felt a lot more senseless.
Yeah. Yeah. If the plan works out, um, then I guess I guess it's worth it. I mean, we do see that Todonaga's really is, from what we can tell, really does care about Japan making it and the unity
Mhm.
of Japan.
Mhm.
So it's one of those things like listening to my Doctor Who, there's a choice a couple of times in there of, well, I could kill these people, this number of people, to save what will be known millions of lives. And that
Mhm.
this version of the Doctor is like, it's not a numbers game. It's never a numbers game because he does the sort of like ever optimist sort of thing of I won't accept those sorts of terms. I
Mhm.
won't accept sacrificing, you know, thousands of humans on this planet because then that means saving millions elsewhere.
Mhm.
Um, but that's very much not the sort of like pragmatic take of I will totally sacrifice, half dozen people, whatever, if it means not going to full out open war and we can make this a peaceful thing and not have the Catholics come and divide us and whatever, sort all this stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds, even though as an audience member it is shocking to watch such a high price be asked to be paid. Um Mariko, it was fun seeing her sort of come and throw her weight about. It's like,
Mhm.
I am, like daughter of whatever, and, sort of title herself up. And
Yes. Yes, she had a gladiator style speech, I am
yeah,
daughter of a Akechi Jinsei, I'm not gonna be held here, I'm free to come and go, and I'm following my liege lord's orders. Let's do
yep,
this. Let's
yep,
let's have this showdown. That was very fun. I agree.
yep. And you know, getting to see the other council members start to waver, the one and for
Mhm.
sure, like understanding the gravity of like, hey, if you kill her, this is this is a problem. And and then again, keeping some of your people out of the loop here. Then you go and have your other guy come in, let a whole bunch of ninjas in to attempt this assassination mission. Um,
That was yeah,
Craziness.
that was a scene where I thought it was one way. I thought it was, this is part of Toranaga's plan.
Hmm.
And, Yabashige is letting in these guys to suit Toranaga's purposes because, hey, Toranaga needs a win. He's had some pretty harsh defeats here. Maybe this is the beginning of Crimson Sky, you know. And yeah, then that was a twist that I did not see coming. That they were actually
Yeah.
there to kill Mariko. That was shocking
Hmm.
to me.
Yep. Yeah. And I don't know. So not everything goes perfectly. And then what do you think of? So Mariko then kind of admits defeat in a sense, like she stops trying to escape,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
hmm
and Ashley's thought was like she's realizing in that moment that Yabushige is a traitor because he's not helping Blackthorn move the crate, or is she just like, look, I was coming here, I was going to die anyway, as they're after my life. This is what really needs to happen anyhow.
mm.
Or, I mean, like, I don't know. What do you think is like the decision to I'm gonna stand in front of the door, I'm gonna say my last piece and
Yeah. I I would have liked that more had she had more of an audience.
mm,
That would have felt more satisfying with other people there.
right.
Who's I mean, it's a great moment to like recapture that, I'm going to die in protest of what Ishido is doing because he's being a dictator, he's authoritarian, he's just, seizing power control. It's a great protest and her death would definitely be a martyr's death and still could be, I guess, but the only people there to witness it are Blackthorn, who nobody's going to pay attention to because he's an outsider. Yabashige is not gonna tell anybody because he's obviously switching sides all the time. So he's not going to be, making Mariko a martyr. And the two other women, like, I just don't know that they have the pull and the sway to, like, portray her this way. So it
Mhm.
really depends, you know, that angle needs to be told, needs to be expressed to a large enough group of people in just the right way that they do take it that way for that to work, for her
Right.
death to mean that.
Yep.
So, unfortunately, it wasn't out in the open. There was very few people there. I'm just sort of worried that, like, it ended up being for nothing.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the play has to be, right, that turn all the biggest families against the ruling body at this point. Like, you've
Right. Right.
overstepped, you've gone too far. Clearly, we sided with the wrong people, and we've now put our weight behind, Toranaga instead.
Right.
And I would say that does hinge on, people understanding how she died, by
And who
whom.
did it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the biggie here, and I don't know that she got that.
Mhm.
I mean, just the fact that she is killed at all may be enough,
Right.
you know, because obviously she did make that show of defiance and people watched her, try to leave and be defeated, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
They could turn it into some sort of accident or weird random, senseless act of violence kind of tragedy and just disassociate it, and then yeah, if people don't stand
Yeah.
up and say no, you did it, then she's in trouble.
Yeah.
If also she is dead, she could be horrifically injured.
I guess so. Yeah, I
But
guess
alive.
so. It seemed pretty bad,
Seems
but,
unlikely. It seems
yeah.
unlikely.
Mhm.
It does seem like that was just, her dying, but
Mhm.
obviously can't say that for certain because we do just end on
Yeah.
that explosion and her body flying. We don't know exactly what happens after.
Mhm. Her body flew into a giant bed of hay that was in that building, and,
Cushion the blow,
yep.
ears are
Yeah.
ringing, but she's,
Mhm.
body's intact. I don't know.
Mhm.
It could be.
Yeah.
If
Um,
um if she is dead, then I think the show would have delivered another surprise to me in the form of, obviously I'm familiar with the work that this is based on and the fact that like Blackthorn's character stays in Japan and takes a wife. I always assumed that would be Mariko.
mm,
And so if that's not in fact the case, if he ends up, marrying like Fuji or something, who by the way, I miss her.
I know, yeah.
Could use her character coming back. If that's what happens, then yeah, I'm like super shocked because I always thought those 2 were just kind of like the end game there.
It's the ultimate final, like, twist of the knife for,
Mhm.
the young, like, nephew or whatever that is in love with
Omi,
the.
yeah,
Yeah.
courtesan,
So,
yeah, Lady
yeah,
Miku,
he
yeah,
marries her. Yeah.
yes. Which,
Um,
by the way, this is totally tangential to the storyline, but just I loved Toranaga's little joke as he
the
thinks he's going to
placement.
die. Yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
church and brothel, just
Mhm.
neighbors. Love it.
I like that too.
Oh,
I
it's one of
made
the
some
few
note about
light
it.
moments in some, like, kind of,
Mhm.
dare I say, duller, just in terms of, like, all the, setting up that's going on, and also
Yep.
darker, obviously, because it's so much focused on deaths, of his son, of his right-hand man, Maiko, what she means to him, I think probably as, like, a surrogate daughter,
Yep.
so
Yeah, it's a party Friday night and then ask for forgiveness on the Sabbath. So, it's, perfect, right? Like,
Uh,
wake up in the
yeah,
morning, good to go.
that was quite enjoyable.
Mhm. Um, what is, like, I don't there's definitely more things we could delve into, but I don't have anything, it's critical other than, like, you know, we did have some stuff between Mariko and Ochiba, and I'm
Mhm.
wondering, why does it now seem like Ochiba has no power? so her mother died, right? And it's like, was
Mhm.
she did she have some sort of authority through her mother yet? Or why is she
And is that I mean, I don't know that that's her mother, correct? That was the Taiko's wife, I
Yes, was
thought?
Dago's wife. Mhm.
And was it like, was she saying it was her mother in the sense of like like sort of an adaptive,
Maybe
caretakery way, or was that her literal mother?
I don't know. I read it as
Okay,
her literal
okay.
mother,
I
but
wasn't
then
clear.
yeah. But then it's like, "Oh, okay, if that was the wife, then it's interesting." Then he took a his wife's daughter as a court.
As a courtesan?
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know, it's but,
I mean,
either
watching
was
the Scary Diaries, they definitely there's clear, like, moments of, like, keeping it in a family and or,
yeah.
passing courtesans along, so, it wouldn't be the weirdest thing,
Mhm.
but, you
Yeah.
know, obviously to our sensibilities, not something that's in the everyday or
Yeah.
would seem normal.
Because didn't it seem like she, had a couple lines and like she was now sort of out of it. Like she was all of a sudden walking in here, "I'm the boss. You're gonna do what I say." Everybody's sort of like,
Yeah.
you know, kind of bowing to her in a way. We sat through the whole play with her, and people are like, "You're
Mm,
choosing the wrong side," or something.
ugh,
Like everybody's looking to
awkward.
her, and now in this, it's like, nope, it's
Nothing.
to Ishido.
Yeah.
I can't do anything. Is it like somehow this is the moment?
Yeah, I really feel like she lost that power the second she agreed to marry Ishido, which again, I was surprised by. I was very like,
Did she agree to it?
she is there's either like an assumption or like some indication that she gave because Mariko in this episode says, congratulations on your engagement.
Oh, I somehow missed that. Okay.
Yep.
'Cause, yeah, that is
Yep.
a weird because someone else was telling her, like, he's a shadow of, like,
Yeah,
someone was
it
really
was
down.
her the Taiko's wife,
Okay. Yeah.
her surrogate and or real mother. Um, yeah, she was like, "He is just like a shadow of a man. He'll never, be like the real thing. He's not what you need."
Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We need more inside her mind a bit or what's
Mhm.
going on with her and
Yeah, we've gotten some very surface level detail, obviously. We get her fear that Tornaga's been plotting against her family and the murder of her father was his idea. She's afraid now for herself, her son. Um, so we've gotten that sort of like surface level motivation. We've gotten her, like you said, sweeping in as if, I own this place, you're all going to do what I say. For a hot
mhm,
second everybody does, and then Ishido confesses and we get his motivations. He's desperately in love with her.
right.
And I thought like she was going to have like a very clear rejection. Thanks, no thanks. Gonna keep things the way they are, the way I like them, keep everybody kind of dangling, and yet now we have a diminished Lady Ochiba who has agreed to marry Ishido.
Yeah. It's
So,
I don't know.
and
I hope we get some sort of explanation here.
yeah, I
Something
mean,
make this make sense.
yeah, we got a little more depth into her, but not really any insight to what she's doing. Obviously in the conversation between her and Mariko, where, her inviting Blackthorn was really just a pretext,
Yeah.
to talk to Mariko, and they exchange, like, she's like, "Oh, when we were younger, I thought of Mariko as a sister, and then she was taken away from me." So, again, we add to the pain, I get it, you're a damaged
Mm.
person, but what does that all mean? What are you
Yeah.
doing here?
Yep.
Yeah. That's where we need to be going next.
Yep. Um, okay.
Mhm.
Well, we I took a long time on Doctor Who earlier, so apologize for all the going into that. But if there's other things you want to say on these two episodes, but I've kind of like said my piece because as we sort of mentioned, it's a lot of character moments, sort of developing
Mhm.
these people's relationships, and the big the big events, is where we went over, the two what now appear to be pawns sacrificed to hopefully make um, Toranaga's whole takeover plan
Mhm.
happen, come to pass.
Yeah, yeah, we've really spent a lot of these last 2 episodes focusing on them, Toranaga, the death of his son, and the way that that was sad, yes, but also afforded him time to set things in motion. Now, as a viewer, I'd really like to step back and say, "Okay, we were deep in here. What are we doing now? Like, what's Blackthorn's purpose?" He's just been kinda moving around, not really having anything to do.
Hmm.
He's taken
Yeah.
Yabashige and Mariko to Osaka. He's been reunited with his old crew, learned he doesn't fit with them anymore.
Right.
He thinks he's going to
Mhm.
sail for Yabashige. He thinks he's going to sail for Ishido. Both of those don't seem to quite be panning out. He was
Mhm.
going to help Mariko. Then, they got together again. And we thought we had this big, like, moving forward moment for the two of them and their relationship. And then now it's all maybe being taken away again. So, what is he going to do? What is his purpose here? Is he part of the plan? Is he a wild card? What's
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah. It's gonna be really interesting to see, especially after he just like slept with Mariko again
Hmm.
on that night. Now she's killed. What kind of action does that spur him into? And
Right.
does he end
And
up respecting Toranaga for the sort of play he's made and see how
right.
this comes together? Or is it like
Right.
this is a bridge too far and I just, separates him further from everything?
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to the reception of Mariko's death. I mean, I talked about earlier the way that, you know, she needs the public and these, high lords to accept her death one way for the plan to work. Similarly, with Blackthorn, he needs to, for Toranaga, place the blame of her death on the right person. Either it's Ishido or it's Yabashige for betraying them. It's not Toranaga for, like, moving these chess pieces. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? So, like,
Yeah.
if he thinks back to, like, this is Toranaga's plan, like he did earlier when it seemed like she was going to die for the first time, and he was
Yeah.
very upset about that. If he goes back to that, it's obviously bad for Toranaga. If he doesn't, if he just sort of looks in the immediate and says, one of these 2 is to blame, then yeah, I think
Um,
there could be some good moves there for Toranaga.
yeah. Okay. Um, how do we want to we only one episode left.
One
Gotta get
episode. Woo!
gotta get Dustin on board. I'm anxious to know what happens. We gotta figure out we gotta definitely make sure we get this in before you leave. That's
Yes.
important. And so yeah, we'll have to coordinate here and and wrap this up. I did hear now they are working on a season 2 and 3.
Wow, okay.
So
That's
initially
that's
it
great that
was
they've greenlit 3 too. Wow.
well, I'm not excited about it because they went quite a while saying we're not looking to do more because this is the story. This is the book.
Oh.
This is what we had. And I think pressures from the top, this being FX's most successful show
Hmm.
to date,
Interesting.
or like, look, you're gonna make more, so make it. And now, it sounds like people are on board and they're doing it, but it's going to be going off from source material. It's going to be invented
Okay.
now. So
Okay.
that's a heavy responsibility to play in
Yeah, it
this
is.
era, staying authentic, moving these characters forward. Um, we'll see.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I guess I'd assumed that it would be, at least 2 if not 3, given the fact that, like, the course of these events happen over a number of years in real life, like, the real life events that they're based on. I
mhm,
think, take, like, 8 to 10 years, this whole mess gets sorted out. It's, like, quite a while. So
Sure.
I had assumed that, they just had enough material, but that is
Yeah, I don't know if
interesting to
they
know.
had, like, compressed it because they were only imagining they were gonna do 1 season and
Sure.
then, you know, took a bunch of that time out, and now it's like, well, now we have more seasons, we could have spread it out.
Right, right.
Yeah, Alan said there are 2
I
more books in
wonder.
this series, but supposedly those to my understanding, those books take place in very different times and places. So they're not the
Right,
same characters.
right.
Yeah, they said not actually a series. So, yeah. So this is supposed to be a continuation of these characters. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. We'll see then.
Um, yeah. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Okay. So that's been Popcast on the Rocks and episodes 8 and 9 of Shogun. And hope you're enjoying it. Again, please leave your feedback and comments about the show or whatever in any chat that you would like. We are live on YouTube, X, Kick, and Twitch. So take your pick. This show will go to podcast directories like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you can follow us on those, if you want the podcast format, video version is available on Spotify, and a review on Apple Podcasts would be much appreciated. Killing the Flower wrote our theme song. You can check them out on music streaming services, Instagram and YouTube. That's Killing the Flower. Track Mouse 34, our friend Mike, Track Mouse 34 on YouTube or Track Mouse on Instagram. Getting ready for race season. Coming up in like a couple months. It's going to be at a big race in Wisconsin. So should have more content coming from him. And he was on Fallout show last night. So you can hear from him if you want. Um, and yeah, that's about it from us. We appreciate the viewership or the shares, the follows, all that sort of thing. And yeah, Andrea, thanks for joining me. We'll be back next week. We'll be back. Us two will be back Friday.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't leave me hanging here, John.
Yeah, us two will be back Friday for some fashion talk. Let's go.
Yes. Yes, I will see you very soon, and to everybody else, cheers.